Hi, so today I want to talk to you about the shadow. It's kind of an endless topic in my life, and I think it could be a really good topic in most people's lives right now, quite frankly, with everything that's going on in our world. But first, I want to introduce you to someone. This is Anubis, and this particular Anubis was a birthday gift to me while I was in Egypt last month. And Anubis has frequently been associated with the shadow and working with the shadow energy. It's said by some that he was the original wolf, and some people have called him a jackal, but the original wolves apparently looked like this because they didn't need all the fur that the wolves that are in the north and the Arctic have. So the wolves in Africa and Egypt were originally slick, and if you check the DNA of the wild dogs there, very closely related to the first wolves. So Anubis himself was a pathfinder. He was a way shower. He was one who could walk into the darkness and take people through not only their physical death from this world to the other and lead them to the other side safely, but he was also one that energetically and symbolically could walk with them in their daily lives and help each one of us to face our fears, to face our anger, our disappointment, and all the things that we'd rather not deal with, which is usually a lot of what people would call negative emotions, but they're just emotions that we've put this label on them, and that Anubis would help us bring forth those emotions and express them in a healthy way, and also to embrace on the other side of that, when we face some of the things that are harder in our lives, that are in our shadow, the joy and the happiness of being released. So this is Anubis, the original wolf, the original pathfinder, the original shadow meister. Just want to say a little bit more about that and why it's important to do shadow work. First of all, you might be asking yourself, well, do I have a shadow? The answer is this. Are you alive? Are you breathing? Are you human? If the answer is yes, yes, and yes, then yes, you have a shadow. Everything casts a shadow. The trees cast a shadow. When the sun hits a certain way upon this earth, the mountains cast a shadow. There's nothing that doesn't cast a shadow that's here on this planet. So all beings, all things, yes, we have a shadow. And when the sun moves a certain direction, then we can't see that shadow anymore. So too in the psychological world. Sometimes we become so filled with light, or maybe even an expanded or grandiose or imagined idea or ideal self that we want to be. We want to always be loving and kind and generous and sweet and fun and witty and all those kinds of things, that if we're only filled with light, well, that's not really true. That can't be. Human beings have a whole range of emotions, feelings, actions, some more desirable than others. And so if we think we're only in the light and that we're not casting a shadow, then my dear friends, every one of us are in denial. And I say denial means don't even know I'm a lion. We're lying to ourselves that we don't have this darkness. Every one of us has things that we're ashamed of. Every one of us has things that we're afraid of. Every one of us have things that make us really angry. And whether it's a relationship that we're in where we find ourselves arguing, or we see something happening in the world that really upsets us, or we see some really tragic thing happening in the way that people or animals or the world is being treated by others. We all have these feelings that come up within us of anger and rage and despair. It's part of the human condition. Now, unlike some spiritual traditions, I don't think that we're supposed to try and get rid of those feelings. I think we're supposed to transform them. And what that means is that my rage or my anger can signal me that something's not right. Maybe it's not right with me. Maybe it's not right in my external conditions. And maybe that's signaling me to take an action. To me, rage and anger says take a deep breath, go within, see what's really going on, and what can I do? What can I do to change that into an appropriate action? So that kind of energy is a fiery type of energy. And instead of just saying, no, I'm going to get hold of my anger, I'm not going to feel it. How about I'm going to use my anger to take an action in a positive direction? So Same thing with our despair or with our sadness. So oftentimes we'll say, oh no, I don't have time to feel sad. I don't have time to feel despaired. And you know what happens then? It turns into a low level depression and an apathy because we're so cut off and we're holding it at bay that we not only can't feel our sadness, which is a natural emotion and feeling, but we also can't feel any happiness. Because you see, the psyche doesn't work that way. It doesn't work like, well, I'll only allow myself to feel happy feelings. Now, you might only allow yourself to feel happy feelings, but you know what? Those happy feelings aren't going to feel very happy. On a scale of 1 to 10, they're going to feel like a 3.5. Because the intensity of your happiness and joy, my happiness and joy, can't really come through unless I'm being authentic. So working with the shadow is equally as important as working with the light and working with the spirit. We're both human and animal, and we're also spirit. And the shamanic path is about walking between the worlds. And sometimes we need to be a little more animal. We need to be a little bit more here and now, a little bit more human. And sometimes we need to get bigger and see a bigger picture and pull in a bigger energy. And we do need to move past and beyond certain emotions and be the bigger person. But the person or the energy that decides that needs to be this wise one inside of us that knows how to walk between the worlds. And we can't develop that kind of wisdom if we're always hiding in the dark.